Hello, in this video we're gonna go over drawing 7.2 and we will use some strategies to finish this. The tools that we will use today is creating circles using diameters. Also we're gonna create array to make this lines around polar array. And also we're gonna create the rectangular arrow here using polyline. We will use object snap. Also we're gonna annotate and use the numbers here. So we will use associative and unassociative polar array. Let's start doing this exercise. At the beginning, the unit here is decimal, and if it's not already decimal, you can just type UN on the command line, or from the application menus, you can set your units by going to drawing utilities and then units. After setting the units, you can justify the limits. Also, if you would like to use the snap setting, you can use that. You need to create some layers to organize your drawing. I already created some, and here that depends on you how many layers you need to create. But when you create more layers, so your work will be more organized. And I really recommend giving each layer a name, unique name, and color. Okay, so it's very important. Now I created here a layer for circles. Let's start this drawing. The first thing, we need to study the dimensions. Here we do have one circle, the diameter is 5. Then the inside circle, we have the diameter 4.5. Then the third one inside here is 3. So let's go ahead and draw them. From the home tab, circles, center, diameter. Here you can choose any point. Actually, it's not important which point to start with. Now we set the diameter, the first one, the outer circle, this is 5, enter. It's very important to have the object snap on, and we need to have the 3 circles join the same center. So it's very important to have the center checked. Okay, so make sure you have the center with the object snap checked. Again, center diameter. When you hover over the circle, you will get the center. So click on the center of this circle. Now you type the diameter, which is 4.5, and this is the second circle inside. Now the third circle, we repeat the same steps. Circle, center diameter, go over a little bit till you get the point of the center. Click on it, and the third one is, the diameter is 3. Here you go, we finish these circles. Now we do have the little circle, but we're gonna draw this aside, okay? As you see here, we have the arrow tick. I'm gonna draw it aside, then move it to inside. The best way, you can draw it as lines, but I'm gonna draw it using polylines this time. Click on polyline, okay? And when you start point, any point is okay. Now, after the start, the first point, here we need to change the width. So as you see here, we have 0.25 and the end is 0. So click on the width or type W, enter. The starting width is 0.25 and the ending, which is the last point here, is 0. So put 0. Now, make sure that you are using the reference lines. Make sure you have the polar tracking on, okay? So you have horizontal lines and you get these dashed lines that refer for your lines are okay and they are horizontal. You put the distance here. The distance here, as you see in the image, 1.88. So type 1.88 on the command line and hit enter. Another enter. So you draw this polyline. You might have it filled in. If you need it to be filled, you type fill mode and you put it 1. If you don't need it to be filled, you type fill mode and put it 0. Okay. Now we need to draw a circle. I'm gonna draw this circle using the diameter 0.38. Center diameter, I'm gonna draw it here, okay? 0.38, enter. Now I will move this circle, enter. From the center, make sure you're using the reference line, to the right one, enter. Okay, so we move that. Now we use a trim. And we trim the parts inside. If you're using earlier versions, I'm using 21, you don't need to select anything for trim. If you're using any earlier versions, you need to click select all or select the edges to trim. Finish that part. Always remember to save your work. So Control S, if you already saved it, you can just press the Control S. Otherwise, from the application menu or from the floppy disk on the top, you can save it to your computer. Now, let's type down here dim center. Okay, hit enter. Select the center, the circle, and here you go. We put this type. Now here we created the rectangular tick, the triangular tick, sorry. And here we have this one. We need to move it actually to the center. So let's get move, and this one, selected all the things. Make sure you're selecting everything. Enter to accept. Now get it from the center, make sure the points are correct. Then you can replace it here. You have to hover over any of the circles to get the center. Now you can rotate that one. You choose rotate. Okay. P, enter to select the previous things. You can put P, enter for previous. Now enter again to accept the selection. You choose the center. Then you can rotate it using the angle that you want. So we finished that part. And if we need to, you can move that one to a different layer. Okay, so this is the arrow shaped ticks, and I put it on a different layer. Now let's move to lines here, another layer, and we need to create these lines, the bigger lines, the longer lines. So let's do that. I will start drawing a line from the quadrant, and to get this diamond here that indicate it's a quadrant, make sure you have the object snap quadrant on. Okay, it should have this tick next to that. Now you choose that point, then 0.5, enter, because it is half unit. Now after that, here we need to use the array to make the other ticks. For that, from the Home tab, Modify Group, you use Polar Array. Okay, Polar Array. Select objects. As always, we just keep your eye on the command line. Select this line. Finish selecting, enter. The base, the center of the array, this is the center, which is the center of the circles. Okay. Now you created the array, we need to modify the items and the filling angle. The items here, 5, enter, and the filling angle 135 as instructed in the book. So they are 135, and they are 5 items. If you put that minus 135, you will get the other direction. But I'm not going to put it minus, I'm gonna keep it this way, then I will use mirror to get the other way when I'm done. So either way, Now, if you keep that associative, that will make it one array and you can always modify it. If you uncheck the associative, that will make it individual lines that you can delete and modify later. So I will keep this one associative and I'll create the second one for the little lines and make it unassociative. Now we finished the first part. We're gonna draw another line, picking the points, very important here, point 25, enter. Okay, another enter to finish selecting. Now let's choose the polar array again. Now select the little line. Be careful, do not select the big one, the longer one, just select the smaller line. When you finish, enter. And this is the center here. We will make the same thing here. We're gonna make 135, but the items here should be 21 items. Okay, here you go. We finished that part. Now, this one, I will make it unassociative, so I will click on the associative one, so it's not active anymore. The reason that I did that, because I need to delete the little lines on the top, so I don't have any overlapped lines. Then I close the array. As you see here, the longer one, it's all together and I cannot modify it. If it happens that you have an associative array and you need to modify it, you can explode it using the X command or explode from the modify. Okay, you can do that. Even if it's associative, you can always explode it to make it unassociative. Now let's go over these little lines here. We don't need to have any overlapped lines. So let's click on these little ones and hit the delete button to delete them. So we finished this. Let's do the other part. You can repeat the same steps and the polar array again using a negative filling angle, and you can use mirror. I'm gonna use mirror, and let's select object. I'm gonna select this object here. Okay, and this. Make sure we're not selecting anything. If you select something by mistake, hold down the shift key and select it to deselect. When we finish selecting the object, hit enter. Now the first point, we need quadrant because it's like the axis, and this is the other point. Do you want to erase the source? No, so hit enter to accept that, and we got the lines. If we do have here, if we need to delete that, as you see, I cannot delete it. So in this case, if you need to delete, you have to use the explode. Okay, so let's explode this one, enter, and now I can delete the overlapped line. Now I finished this part. Let me draw this little triangle here. Okay, let's see the dimensions. For this little triangle, it's 0.125 and 0.25. Now let's do it polyline again. So let's get polyline, start point. Let's start with any point here, then change the width like we did before. The starting width, as we're going from the top, it's 0.125, enter, and the length is 0.25, enter. Sorry, let's do that again. So polyline, this is the start point. Okay, now let's get the width. The starting width is 0.125 and the end is 0. Okay, make sure because it's like a triangle. So this is the end is 0. Then we put the length of the polyline, which is 0.25. And here you go. We draw this one. If you have any layer for that, you need to put it on the layers. I'm gonna put it with the other arrow shaped text. Okay. Now I need to move that line. So let's get move, select this arrow, enter. I need to move it from the point here to, let's get there, till, I'm gonna zoom in here, okay, till the end. So here you go. Now we will array and do the same thing. So let's get the polar array. You can click on that, make sure it's the polar array. Choose this triangle and then enter. Specify the center, and here you go. Make sure that you are choosing the correct center. And again, the filling angle 135 as instructed in the book. And here we do have 5 items. Okay. Let's unhighlight associative so it's not associative. Or you can make it associative, then we can explode the other way. And now close. Okay. Let's mirror that to the other direction. So mirror this one, enter, and here you go. So I mirrored this, enter. This one I need to make it unassociative so I don't have overlapped here on the top. So let's click on that. See, now it's associative, that's why it's opened. Close. Now let's explode this one, enter, and let's delete the other one. So we finished this part. Be sure to save your work. Now we still have the numbers there. The numbers, we need to create the first number. Then after that, we can use the polar array again, then modify it. Let's create one number outside, then move it to the correct side. So go to annotate and single line. Now specify start point. I'm gonna create it any way outside. Height. Let's make it the same height like the diameter of the circle here. Okay, so let's make the height 0.38. So make sure you have the vertical line and put 0.38 and enter. Now we start typing the first one and enter, enter to finish. Let's move it to its correct layer. If you didn't already put it on the correct layer, you can always move it. Now I will move the text from the middle to the center. Okay. Now again, move previous P, enter, enter from the center, and make sure you have vertical line, you have the reference lines, and type 2, enter. So we place it on 2. As I always say, you can do it in different ways. You don't have to do it my way, but this is one strategy to do the work. You can do any other ways. Now we're gonna use array. Pick the number, enter. Make sure you choose the center. $135. 5. Okay, so we finished that. It's associative now, so I cannot modify it. I can make it unassociative to modify. I'm gonna leave it this way, then I explode it. Then I'll go to close. Now let's mirror this array, enter, and pick a line. Okay, as you see here, we have overlapped. Let's explode this and this, enter. Okay, so after that we can easily change the numbers here, and this one should be 0, 10, 20, 30, 50, 80. Okay, at this point you can modify any of these because they are not associative polar array, so you can modify it. Like, let's say if you need to rotate that number, you can rotate it. So you click on the number, then you can rotate any of the numbers and put it on a degree. Okay, so again, you can rotate any of the numbers by clicking on rotate. Click on the number, pick a point, and just rotate it. Use the reference line to get any of the degrees you want. So here you can feel free to modify the numbers and the rotation angles. And I realized in the book that they have one of them using different angles. Okay, like there are two images. So if you need to rotate this and make it vertical, feel free to use the rotate and make it vertical as well. So we've done all of these numbers here. What's left for us? We need to make these two. We are scaling it, and we need to move one of them to the other part. So let's start scaling. Click on scale. Make sure you select everything using either any way of the selection method, but make sure you are selecting everything. Now, when you finish selecting, hit enter. Okay, then you're gonna scale it. First, I'm gonna make a copy. So copy this one, select it all, enter. We'll copy it from place to place. Okay. Now after that, escape to finish the copying. Then we're gonna scale the second one. So we're gonna have the first one there, and the other one should be scaled. So scale, and here you go. You make this one, selected the second one, selected all. Now enter. Base point, we're gonna pick the center, and the scale here 0.5. Okay, because we need to make it half. Now, as you see here, the distance, we have 4.75 and we have 1.75. Let's make some lines. We can use another way, like using the add, but I'm gonna make it easier. So let's pick a point here, make a line like they instructed, 4.75, and let's go down 1.75. Okay, and now we will move the scaled one, enter from center to this point, and then we will delete these lines. We don't need them any longer. Now we need to make a copy of this 3.5 to the top. So copy, from the center, and here you just need to make the reference line and then type 3.5, enter. Finish, because we can make multiple copies what we don't need, so escape to finish. Now let's make some dimensions for this one. At the beginning here we do have multi-leader, so we can go to Annotate tab, and here is a multi-leader. But first let's make sure that we are in the correct layer, and always you should have a layer for dimensions or any annotation. The more layers will be better for organizing the work. So you might choose to put text on one layer, dimensions on one layer. So let's make here a multi-leader, annotate multi-leader, and here you choose the point. And if any of the points here not very convenient, so you can take them off. Multi-leader, choose here a point, and at this one I'll get the nearest, so that will help me more. The nearest here, if you check the nearest, that will help you get the nearest point. Okay, and I need it almost there. Okay, and you pick a point. Then we need to type 5.00 DIA, enter. Okay. For this, always with the leaders, you have some options to just move it if you want it. Okay, you can remember that you can use the options and move your leader to any way. So this is the first one. Also, we need another one for dimension. Again, multi-leader. Okay, and the last one. Also, what you can do is getting the dimension, which is the diameter. If you want not the multi-leader, so you can get the diameter and put this diameter here. Okay, that will give you a chance to get the diameter of the circle. And you can use the GD edit or just double click. So here what we need to do actually, let me see, it's, yeah. As you see here, it's a 300 DIA, and here we have the diameter because we use the dimension. So you can double click on it. And if you need to modify it, you can put 300 DIA, use GD edit or just double click on it and change that. You can override it. Now we do have some other dimensions. Here we have dimensions from Annotate. Let's get some linear dimension, and here we do have from the center, okay, to the center. Okay, so here you go. And also another linear from center to center. Okay, so here you go. You do have some more dimensions. I will move on to the text, and I will show you here how to add this text as well. Array 135. So annotate, make sure you have the single line, and here you can pick a point, specify the height. If you know the height, that just put it. If not, just pick a point. Now I'm gonna make that 0.5, okay? The angle here is 0, and leave that 0. Hit enter. Now we can type array 135. Click anywhere, escape to finish. Also, you can copy any text and put it on the other side. You can modify by double click on the text and just override scale, okay, 0.5. Okay. If you need to change any of these dimensions, remember, if the arrowhead is small or the text is small, remember that you can go to manage dimension styles from this little arrow under annotation. Here you have little arrow, dimension style. You can click on that. And this is the style that you're using. Find the style that you're using, then you can modify it. And here you do have the primary units. If you need to change the precision, for example, you change it that, and the precision, that's how many decimal points you have. If you need to, the units changed, you can change it from there. You can go to text and see here that we have the text height. So if this number is too small, you can change the text height by increasing the number, okay? And symbols and arrows. Here, this is the arrow size. If you have this arrow size too small, you can increase that number, okay? Also, if you need to change or modify any single individual dimension, you can select it and override it, or you can click on it, left click, and here you do have some grips. You see some other options, okay, to modify, or you can also right click and get the properties. From the properties, you will have several things to change. Like you can change the lines, but make sure that you have only one, or you need to change the same thing if you are selecting several ones, okay? So here you find the text, for example. This is the text height. If you need to change it, you can change it from there. And that is good to change any, like if you have a circle, you need to change the diameter, you can change it the same way from the properties. And you can open the properties by right click, selecting any object, then right click properties, or Control-1. Okay, so here you go. You can open the properties by clicking on Control-1. So in this exercise, we created Drawing 7.2, Chapter 7 from your textbook Discovering AutoCAD 2017 and 2020, Dix and Riley. I hope you have learned new skills in this exercise. Looking forward to work with you again later. Thank you for watching.